What's up, everybody? This is episode 29 of Hoops Talk with Dave's Joint. Shout outs to everybody that's been supporting the venture so far. Check if you haven't seen our episodes, check it out on YouTube, Facebook, and IGTV. But without further ado, I give you our special guest, Mr. Abdul-Allah Torrence. Coach, thank you for coming on, to talk to me and share your testimonial.
Oh, that's no problem, Dave. No problem. It's a pleasure.
So, yeah. So my first question for you is, what's Abdul Torrance's coaching philosophy?
Be honest with you, help kids. I grew up in New York City, East Side, Harlem, and I didn't have a lot of father figures. Father passed when I was 2, so a lot of people I looked towards were coaches, and my Uncle Lou. So I just feel like, coaching goes way past basketball. It goes way past when the kid stops playing for you. Kid come back, need help to try to find a job or need a reference, you should be there. Kid needs an ear, you're just supposed to be there to listen. It's just more than just that 2 hours of practice or 2 hours of games from November to March.
Well, that's what's up, man. So
yeah.
Talk about, growing up in the East Side of Harlem and like what's the basketball culture like in Harlem?
Harlem basketball culture is rich. I grew up late 80s, early 90s. I was playing high school basketball. I went to graphic arts. And so growing up, you always had to battle with guys. You had to earn your rep in the parks around your block. Then once you earned your rep around the block, you take a 5, go somewhere else and earn your rep for your block, and then so that built up a lot of like respect and reputation where they knew you were playing, they knew you were good. So for me, it was just playing on the East Side on First Avenue in the Rec, which is now the Dwight Center, and in Jefferson Park. And then we go over to White Park, we go to Wilson, we go to Washington, we go to Johnson, and then we make our way over to the West Side of Harlem.
That's awesome. So talk about how it was, growing up in the 80s, you know what I'm saying? Like you went through the crack era, a lot of crime going on. Like talk about how it was growing up as a youth back in those days.
Oh, way different than it is for the kids now. You had to have some street smarts. You had to know when to mind your business and go about your business, and when it was cool to just hang out. I was lucky. A lot of the OGs around my block, whether they sold drugs or not, always looked out for the kids to play ball and always made sure that we was on a straight and narrow. We had this, this cop around the block who used to harass all the black kids. His name was Blondie. Whether he thought you was selling drugs or not, you was getting harassed. And so they just made sure, one, that we were good, the ball players, alone themselves, but you just had to make sure that, you know what, Young is not for this life. This ain't his life. We don't want him to go down this route. We make sure that he's taken care of, and we look out for him. So, crime was up. They had the Crackers Whack Park, which was on 128th and 2nd, where Citywide was played, which was a prestigious tournament in the city. You had teams from around the city, and you had the regular tournaments. You had other good tournaments. I shouldn't say regular. Other good tournaments like UDC up in the Bronx, near Barnes Avenue, and 216th, Rucker, which was on 45th Street. Just Say No, which was in Douglas. Those are some of the tournaments in Manhattan. Then you had West 4th. When you go downtown, we would go out to Brooklyn, to Soul in the Hole, and Tillery Park, and play. So, basketball was about earning a rep, like I said before. So you had to travel. It wasn't like now with social media and, oh, that kid is nice because it's highlights. You really had to go out there and make sure your name rang bells, And if you did that, then people got to talking. And then next thing you know, everybody was coming to see you play, whether you was on a team or it was just you, It was because you play well, not because somebody saw a video. It was like, oh, this kid did 360 layup, or he did a windmill dunk, and that might have been the only basket for that kid all game. Mm-hmm. But, you know, back then it was, you had to earn a rep, so you had to go travel and earn your name.
So what were some tournaments that you loved playing in as a youth?
As a youth, LaGuardia House was tough. LaGuardia House on 116th Street, that was a tournament where, like, I never played for the name programs. I never played for Gauchos or Riverside. I played for the Sonics. So whenever I got a chance to play against them, then I took it. LaGuardia House was one. UDC probably, when I was in high school, junior, senior year, it started, had probably the biggest trophies in the city at that point. So everybody was up there. And UDC, they did everything. They took your stats. So they had, you know, leading scorer, leading rebounder, leading assist guy. Every week they put up who had what the previous week and what their average was, who was in the top 10. And then, you know, they had 7-foot goals for the winners. So everybody wanted those. You know, so you look at some of the best tournaments out during that time, I'd say Uptown, UDC, LaGuardia House, Rucker, Citywide, and Just Say No. And then you go to Brooklyn, like I said, you know, you had Soul in the Hole, you had Tillery, you had High Energy, all the way out in Flatlands, and Canarsie. That was tough. You go to Queens, you had Sunrise, right? You had, and Citywide also had a Queens division. So the best thing about Citywide was if you won Manhattan, and then you would play the winner of Queens. You won Manhattan Bronx, you play the winner of Brooklyn Queens. So I know going on my senior year, we played against Aim High, and they had Kamani, they had Andre Aldridge, they had a nice crew, and we ended up beating them in the championship. And like back then, that was big because Tom Kachowski was at every championship, summer league championship game out, like in the city. He was there. So if you saw Tom Kachowski at your game, you better show up. And that also helped, you know. You had guys like Tom Kachowski who was promoting the city game and came out to watch. And when you did what you had to do, then it was like, okay, you got the handshake. You got the firm handshake, which is what everybody wanted.
Mm. So what led you to go to graphic arts? Like, a lot of kids were going to a lot of big schools. I mean, you were in Harlem, so there was Rice, there was Manhattan Center, and I'm sure there were a bunch of other spots. But what made you choose graphic arts?
Crazy. I didn't listen to my mother. That's I did, like I said, my father died when I was 2, so my mom's was really just about education and making sure I was right. So I was in, like, I didn't play for the Chos, like I said. I didn't play for Riverside. I didn't play for Millbank in there. I went to Boys Harbor, who had a basketball team. I started late, though. I ran track when I was younger, did all kind of other stuff. Didn't really play basketball like that. But the funny thing was, I went to Isaac Newton, which is a special junior high school inside Manhattan Center. And my mom was like, yo, look, Manhattan Center is 5 blocks away from my house. We're on 111th Street there, 116th, right in the neighborhood. Why don't you go there? Nah, I don't want to go to Manhattan Center.
Why didn't you want to go?
I don't want to be around the block.
Oh.
For me, that's what it was. I didn't want to be around the block. If I acted up in school, I was nervous, like, yo, my mom's can get right there, right? Mm-hmm. So I said, no, I'm going to graphics. And they had an advertising program at graphics, and that's what I was interested in, advertising. So to be honest with you, Dave, when I went to graphics, I wasn't even thinking basketball. I went to graphics. I played JV baseball my freshman year. I didn't even play basketball.
Wow.
And, you know, part of it was I came into high school at 5'6".
Really?
Yeah.
You were that small?
I came in high school 5'6". Wow. And it was crazy because I came in there and it was like, all right, I was thinking about playing basketball, but I really didn't play. I played baseball that year, so on and so forth. I came back toward the end of my freshman year. The JV coach was like, yo, look, I want you to play JV basketball next year. You're going to start. You're going to be all right, so forth, so forth. I just want you to get to practice. Practice was at 7 o'clock in the morning. that was one of the big deterrents too. 7 o'clock in the morning was tough for me.
Man, 7
Came back
a.m. is tough
sophomore
for
year though.
everybody.
Oh yeah, it was getting to 49th Street for a 7 a.m. practice. Oh, it was tough. But came sophomore year, I was 6'2". So came there, varsity coach was like, yo, you trying out for varsity? I was like, I thought I was playing JV, I don't know. And he was like, yo, why don't you try for varsity? Said, you new to the school, just coming to varsity. I was like, nah, I was here last year. He said, for real? I said, yeah, I was here last year. You know, but at that time, you could transfer in the school. They had junior high school, middle school was 7th, 8th, and 9th grade.
Right.
It wasn't 6th, 7th, or 8th. So kids was graduating from junior high schools in 9th grade and then going to high school. So that's what happened with me. I went straight to graphics out of 8th grade. So when I came back, he was like, oh. So what was crazy is I ended up playing varsity my sophomore year. Ended up starting. And then because my head got so big, I ended up failing off.
Wow.
And yeah, I ended up failing off. And that year we went to the city championship game. And
What
it was
year
like
was
we played at the
89?
Garden. 80, yeah, 89. Yep, 89. We went to the we was in B division. We went to the city championship game against Mabel D. Bacon. And when I got back eligible, right before the playoffs, I didn't play at all. Wow. I didn't play at all that playoffs, not one bit. We had 2 seniors who came, who was ineligible at the beginning of the year. They came in and they killed. Torrance and Gennaro killed. So it was like, wasn't really no space for me. And we ended up losing to Mabel Dean Bacon by like 3 or 4 points. But that was a testament to who I was, I feel, because most kids, and I was upset, when they're like, yo, I was starting, and now I come back, I'm ineligible. It's time to go. I'm transferring out of here. And like a young kid, I really had those ideas too. Like, I need to get out of here. But then I stuck with it. And I think that was the best decision I made from a basketball standpoint.
Mm-hmm. So
you know,
what made you stick it out, throughout the 4 years?
At graphics?
Yeah.
My uncle Louis Torrance. He was my father's twin brother. And he was like, look, you could leave, but you coming down here to live with me in Virginia. And I'm telling you right now, you're going to run from something. I'm telling you what you're running into. And, went down to Virginia and he sat me down. He had a real talk with me. And he was like, look, you could come down here, stay with me, I have no problem, right? But same token, it's not going to be easy. And it's probably going to be more difficult than it is living up there. And I was like, yo. I was like, for real? He said, you're not supposed to run. We don't run. And you know what? I went back to New York City and was like, all right, I need to stick this out. I need to do what I got to do. And, I kind of stuck it out. And like I said, it worked out for me. So I signed a scholarship out of graphics. But the academic part back then was so shaky and counselors didn't know what they was doing. That kind of hurt me. We had graphics wasn't your normal high school. So, we had Decepticons there, I was probably like one of the first gangs in New York City for youth kids. Before Bloods, Crips, you had the Deceps at graphics. So you had to maneuver with that stuff too, but I wouldn't change it because it helped make who I am and made me have friends from throughout the city because everybody from the city went to graphics. Brooklyn, Queens, Manhattan, Bronx, some Staten Island too, So I kind of like, it helped me and it allowed me to play against the best teams in the city and stand out. We talk about it all the time. Our senior year was magical. We went 23-4. No, I'm sorry, 23-6. But along the way, my senior year, We beat the #1 team in the city in the playoffs, Clinton. We beat Bree Stevenson, who was tough, who actually went to the city championship the 2 previous years, and won with Dave Kane and Ant Pell, and Mike Huger. We beat a team, John Jay, who had Caboose Stewart and Will Sanders, and Caboose ended up playing in the league. You know, we beat a bunch of teams, and Manhattan Center, who was tough. We beat a bunch of teams at the end of the day, and that just made it special for us.
So what round did you lose in your senior year?
We lost Elite 8. We lost in the Elite 8 to Long Island City.
That's right.
Yeah, a team that beat us by 2 early in the year at their place. And we end up getting smoked by 20 in the Elite 8.
Yeah. I know that was heartbreaking.
It was very heartbreaking. Like, I ain't gonna lie to you, that might have been the first time I ever cried after a basketball game, because it was so magical for us and it hurt. But there was so much dissension on our team at that point in terms of who was who. It was easy for a team to exploit that, and we always felt like we won. We was already there. We felt like, all right, we got this far. This is our championship. When if we had beat them, we would have been playing Manhattan Center in the Final Four. And they beat us one time and we beat them one time. So I already knew we had a shot to beat them in the Final Four.
But Long Island City got in the way.
Long Island City with John Roach and Lloyd Newton. They played that running jump. They weren't even that big. They were probably the tallest guy was probably like 6'1", 6'2", maybe. But they ran and jumped and pushed the ball.
Chances are you guys probably would have been playing Chaka Ship in Lincoln.
They was on the other side. What's crazy is Shaka and them was on the other side. Shaka and Eson. I went to college with Eson. They were on the other side of the bracket with Grady. So it happened to be, it would have been us, Manhattan Center, and Grady and Lincoln on that side, right? And everybody was so hyped. We knocked off Clinton, who was 22-1, and the only loss they had was a team in Jersey. That I guess everybody was like, "Yo, we got this." And Clinton was tough. Like Clinton, they had my man Will Cadiz, who was 6'5". They had a kid 6'8" and 6'10", and you know they had a college backcourt, a 6'2" point guard, a 6'4" two guard, you know, and I was 6'7", 6'8". After that, the next person was 6'2", you know, but we just played our butts off, you know. So I think that's what happened after the Clinton game. We just thought we was gonna beat Long Island City. Like we know we could beat them, and they came out and earned it. And then unfortunately, maybe a couple months later, rest in peace, Lloyd Newton passed away in at a game in Long Island after the season.
Wow.
Yeah, he fell underneath the bleachers. Something was happening at the game, and I was like, that kid was tough. He was tough.
Wow, so you got to play against him before he passed.
Yeah. And, you know, it was just like, wow. Like, you would think us from the hood, something's going to happen. You're going to get hit by a bullet, somebody going to stab you, somebody, like, that's how you going to go. I've had
somebody broke that. That's crazy. They broke the chair, and like the leg of the chair, and they threw it at him, and it hit him.
Yeah. And then he fell. And, like, so you think you maneuver the hood, right? And he's from Queens, and you know Long Island City's around Queensbridge and Ravenswood out there that way. So I don't know. I think he might have been from over there. I don't really know him that well, but the thing was, you maneuver the hood, and you think that you're gonna get out the hood, and you good. So when you go somewhere else, ain't nothing gonna happen. And you know, unfortunately, that did. You know what I mean?
Right. So yeah, you said just now that you were supposed to go to you were supposed to go to a college. What school was that?
Brooklyn College. I had signed. It was Division I at the time. I had signed at Brooklyn College. out of graphics in the spring.
Mm-hmm.
And I was all set. I had my 700 on my SAT. At that time, you only needed a 70 average and a 700. So, like, I took the test the second time, got a 780. So I was pretty much straight. I was like, oh, okay, I ain't got to take it anymore. I took it one more time and got an 830. But what happened was, like I said, goes back to the academics and graphics. When it was time to go, my guidance counselor forgot I didn't take Spanish, which was a credit requirement to graduate. Yeah,
Wow.
and it was crazy. I went to pick up my diploma after I took my economics class, and I was like, all right, I'm ready to go. And past Jim Sullivan, the Sullivan games,
Mm-hmm.
is named after Jim Sullivan. He was at Brooklyn College. He recruited me to Brooklyn College.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, okay, cool, let's go. Counsel was like, Abdul, you need to take Spanish. So I need to take Spanish. It's like, yeah. I said, you told me all I needed was economics. And I couldn't graduate. So because I couldn't graduate, I couldn't keep the scholarship. But that saved my life, even though the counselor didn't know, because that next year was the last year for Brooklyn College to be Division I. And then I ended up going to prep school and ended up securing a Division I scholarship to St. Francis.
Before we talk about that, like you so basically, why did they lose why did they phase out of Division I, Brooklyn College?
Coach told me it's a lot of money that you need, I guess, to operate at Division I level.
Mm-hmm.
And because Brooklyn College at that point, although they were Division I, they were independent. They didn't belong to a conference. So they pretty much handled the budget themselves. But Brooklyn College had kids who could play. Like, they had a guy, Brenton Birmingham, that went there, who ended up transferring to Manhattan after his sophomore year. And he had a great career at Manhattan. He went to Brooklyn Tech with Conrad McRae and Keith Hill and Lamont Jones. He was on that team at Tech that I think that lost in the Final Four, Brenton Birmingham. But they had some talent. But they couldn't keep it together because they had to deal with the budget by themselves. They didn't have a conference to help them out.
Wow.
Yeah. So that kind of like I said, it kind of helped me because I could have graduated and went to Brooklyn College, and I had schools recruiting me, but I kind of always wanted to stay where go to one school. That was always the plan.
So you wound up going to Milford Academy?
Yeah, and I'm going. First, I went to St. Thomas More, all the way up in Oakdale, Connecticut, and I ended up getting kicked out. And then when I got kicked out, the coach at St. Thomas More, Jerry Quinn, I love him to this day. He actually helped me get into Milford.
Mm-hmm.
So I went from, Oakdale, Connecticut, where it was far. You had to take a bus, a van, all kind of stuff to get to St. Thomas More, which was a lot of guys. Like Steve Frazier was there with me, who's from the city. Charles Millen, who went to St. John's, was there with me. Terrell Dozier, Eddie Eusebio, Pete Philo, Jerome. Like, we had a lot of guys who could play. And then when I got kicked out, he kind of was like, yo, look, I'm gonna help you, a good kid. I'm gonna help you. We got a guy who's our football coach here, who's the AD at Milford. He's starting the program, and I'm gonna call him. He called him. He set it up, got me into Milford, and now I started playing for Scott Spinelli, who's now the associate head coach at Boston College. And we had a nice crew there. We had a kid, Yanka Dare, who played for the Nets, got drafted 14 in the lottery, went to George Washington. Him, You know, we had a guy, Deloitte Chapman. We had 6 guys who went Division I on that team. You know, including myself. So, you know, it was a pretty good experience. And it humbled me. I ain't gonna lie to you, because Milford was nothing like St. Thomas More. Milford's situation, like you really was thugging it out there. You know, no chairs in the van. You had to bring your desk chair from your room. You know, yeah. It was the hood version, but it was special. Like those guys I talk to today, you know what I mean? I still talk to them. We went through a lot. We played a lot of guys who had talent. We played at Falk Union with they had William Davis, who went to Boys and Girls. He was a 7-footer that was a Boys and Girls. He PG. We did his senior year. And he was pretty good. We played against a kid named Larry Davis that went to North Carolina. He was pretty good. You know, we played against a lot of guys who had talent, but we traveled, and Coach Spinelli would take you wherever. Like, he took you. We was driving down from Connecticut down to Hargrave Military Academy in Virginia to play.
Wow.
You know, wherever the talent was, that's where we were going. Yanka and Will Davis battle. I was front and center for that. I was like, that's when I was really, oh, damn, Yanka's battling with Big Will, and he's doing work. Oh, this dude is tough. You know, he's tough. You know, but Milford was an experience. It definitely was.
So when did St. Francis come into play?
They saw me when I was up at St. Thomas More. Like, I had, when I was at, we played in this tournament, Connecticut Select, which was, you know, we played against AAU teams. From that, I got about 5 to 6 offers, right? But then when I got kicked out, a lot of guys kind of backed up. It was like, I don't know, so on. And then St. Francis came back in. Coach Breaker came to a gym to watch his practice. And when he saw me practice, he pulled me to the side. He was like, yo, I really like you. I think you work at St. Francis. And at that point, I had four other schools that I was looking at. But, you know, it just made sense. Coming back to New York, here in Brooklyn, a friend of mine, a teammate of mine, Deloitte Chapman, he went with me. So it just made sense. But, you know, in the springtime, and it came down to, be honest with you, it came down to St. Francis and St. Joseph's. Those are the 2 schools it came down to. And I just felt better with St. Francis. And I made the right decision, because I'll tell everybody, Coach Breaker was instrumental in, you know, for me at St. Francis in terms of becoming a man, but also helping me out when I needed help. You know.
So before we get into the St. Francis days, what did you do to get kicked out of St. Thomas More, man?
A lot of stuff.
Wow.
I was from New York. So being from New York, you already had a stigma. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, there's a bunch of little things, and then it was kind of like something happened in the dorms, and I wouldn't say what happened. And so you know, they knew I was there. The crazy thing is, I was supposed to go leave the weekend and go with one of the guys in the dorms over to their crib in Connecticut, but I didn't go. I stayed, right? And so when it went down, I had to sit with administration. And I sat with administration. They were like, yo, look, I know you was there. What happened? I said, I can't say what happened.
What?
And
that did you in right there.
Right. It was like, yo. I'm like, yo, look. I ain't gonna say what happened. It ain't on me. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's not my job. And they were like, yo, look, well, then we gotta think that you were there, you were down with it, whatever. I just can't, I'm not gonna say what happened because it wasn't on me. So basically, they was trying to build whatever case against somebody, and they needed witnesses. And I just wasn't going to be that one.
Yo.
So they basically had me call my mother and say, you know, buy this, buy that, and I can't stay because I don't want to speak out on what happened and so forth and so on, right? And told her that, you know, she wasn't getting her money back. Well, she wasn't getting most of her money back. She was getting some of her money back.
Wow.
Thankfully, somebody paid for me to go to St. Thomas More.
Mm-hmm.
So but when it came time to go to Milford, she had to fork over some money to pay for Milford, you know, past the whatever money they gave me for aid. But that's pretty much what it was. It went down, and I wasn't gonna say what happened, and I still haven't spoke about it. Like, and people came and they said, "Yo, this happened," and so and that's why you get kicked out. And I was just like, "All right," you know. But it was just I was there, and I was from New York, and they figured I was involved, and I was talking about it. You know, I said, ain't none of my business.
So basically, all right. So long story short, basically you was in the wrong place at the wrong time, and they tried to get you to sing a song and you wouldn't sing.
Right. I can't sing. I'm a bad singer. I'm a bad singer.
Wow.
You know, so when that happened, it was like, oh. And I guess, like I said, it was easy. You from New York.
Mm-hmm.
You from the city. Like, yeah. He was down with it. Yo,
yeah.
He don't want to talk about it? All right.
Basically, they assumed that you did it just because you was from the hood.
Right. And you know, I wasn't talking about it. I wouldn't say what happened, who was involved. I didn't say anything like that. I don't know.
These were Caucasian people at the school, basically.
Mostly, yep. Administration was Caucasian, yeah. And back then, you gotta think that was 91. Yeah, so you know, it was basically reputation of New York City. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, when you're at a prep school and you're dealing with people that got money, they always know how to make things happen, good or bad.
Right.
So now let's get to St. Francis. So let's talk about your freshman year. So you go from being on a campus, a legitimate campus, to a school with one building. Like, how was the little campus life, and you know, your living arrangements,
right,
and the season?
All right, so I was hyped. I was like, I got my own crib. We had apartments. You know, we had apartments, and so they gave us a stipend to live off of. So kind of like I was hyped. 19-year-old kid. I'm about to have my own crib. I got 2 roommates, but we living on our own. You know, you got to cook, you got to clean, you got to do this other stuff, but we got our own crib. It's free crib, right? And so it was cool. I remember the first check I got, I blew it. Like we had got, I think we get $900 a month, something like that.
Oh,
$900 a month. But with that $900, you had to pay your share of rent, electricity, if you had cable, that, you know what I'm saying? You had to budget it out. So once I gave my money for the rent, I had about $500, $550, right? I bought some groceries, right, to eat. And then I bought this $300 TV, and I bought a brand new pair of sneakers. So that was the first week, September. Boom. I had about $50 left for the rest of the month. I'm sitting here like, damn, I can't go to the movies. I can't do nothing else. Like, I'm stuck. And, you know, most times we live right across the street on Remsen. I was staying in the school chilling. So instead of me taking my tail back across the street, get some food, I'm buying food in the cafeteria, which is ultra expensive. So that first month was a lesson. I was broke by the middle of the month. I had $0 by the middle of the month.
Like,
you know what I'm saying?
You gotta think about it. Like, at a school, like maybe if you went to Marist College, where they had a more stable situation, like dorms and stuff like that, you would have been able to save more money. You know what I'm saying? Like only
Right.
certain areas, if they giving you a stipend, you'll be able to save it. But in Brooklyn Heights, that money will not survive. You'll be
Downtown
lucky.
Brooklyn.
Yeah, like you gonna probably take. It's probably gonna last you maybe a week, 2 weeks if you're lucky.
Right.
Yeah, but and plus you guys, they like the guys now on the team, they have it easier. You know what I'm saying? Like they're in the dorms now.
Right.
You guys actually live in apartments.
We lived across the street. We had like 4 apartments. We had 4 apartments, 3 guys in an apartment. So, and one apartment had 4 guys. But we had, in the building I was in, we had 2 apartments. Then you had an apartment about over on Amity Street. And then you had another one that was further down court over there, like almost Park Slope area. You know, so it was different. Like you said, on campus you have a meal plan. You ain't gotta worry about eating. And you know, like the difference between that, and I remember going when I transferred to South Florida, I know we're gonna get to that, but when I transferred to South Florida, you would have a meal plan and they would allow you to bring food back to your room because they had a training table for you. So St. Francis, you ended up, if you didn't cook for yourself, we either went to the Roy Rogers, the Arby's that was around the corner, or McDonald's, you know, or go on Geralamo Street to the little diner that was down the block.
Yeah.
You know, so it was it's a difference. You had to grow up a little faster living in the apartments and learn how to manage money, manage your lifestyle, right? So it was definitely a learning lesson, you know. But classes were good, you know. One thing, I had the highest GPA out of the freshmen. We had 8 freshmen that was there. 8 freshmen, no, I'm sorry, 7 freshmen, 2 junior college guys, and then it was 3 returners. So we were real young. It was tough. We all thought our shit didn't stink. You know what I mean? We all thought it was gonna be gravy. You know, coach recruited us, sang us the praises. The head coach just sold us a dream, and we thought like, all right, we're gonna come in here and we're gonna be the new Fab Five, right? But you had talent. You had Charles Hatcher, Lou Myers, and Ron Arnold, who went to Rice, who was tough. So it wasn't like any of them was giving up their spots, and they deserved to start. But we had a good schedule. First game out, St. John's. And, you know, everybody kind of like was like, we're not scared of them. Especially the guys from New York. Like my man Jamel Thompson, you know, Ron, who played against them. Like, we knew those guys. We knew D. Kane. We knew Lamont Middleton. We knew Charnel Scott. We knew Lee Green. Rest in peace, right? So it wasn't like we was in awe. We knew them. We played against them in the summer. I actually got hurt, so I didn't play. I ripped my groin. So I sat out like the first 6, 7 games of the year, you know, because once again, thinking things was going to be just about basketball. But conditioning was real. First 2 months was conditioning. First month, you don't touch a basketball. Just running and lifting, you know. And then you get into the condition. You had to get into shape, you know. So that was tough for us. But we played, like I said, we played against a lot of guys who could play. Like, I played against Rick Smits when he was at Marist. Played against Carlos Rogers when he was at Middle Tennessee. He ended up playing for the Rockets. You know, we went down to the George Washington tournament, played against him. So we played against guys who played NBA and played overseas who were tough. You know, it was just, you had to be ready. But we struggled my freshman year. And part of it was maturity, but a lot of it was guys didn't like the coach, the head coach at the time. So Ganlin rubbed dudes the wrong way. He was a guy who came from UNLV, and he was a conditioning coach. And it just was like guys just didn't gel with him, you know? So it was a rough freshman year. You know?
So what led you to transfer to South Florida? Was it because of everything that was going down?
Part of it, yeah, part of it. Be honest with you, the crazy thing was, I was the last one to leave. I was the last one to ask for my release. Like,
Wow.
so, yeah, like I was really going back and forth. Like, I was going back and forth with, like what my uncle said, we don't run. You know, you stay and you fight, you figure it out. But it really wasn't about playing time for me. It was really about how I felt, you know. And, you know, the crazy thing kind of was, with the 4 returners who came, who's there before us, Chris Ortiz was also with them. Like Ron, Charles, and Lou were all graduating. So I knew Ron, and I got to know Lou and Charles, but it wasn't like, I'm like, why am I going to be here? And I'm not going to be here with people I'm playing with,
Right.
that I built a relationship with. Why not just leave and figure out? And I knew I was better than St. Francis at that point. But for me, it was kind of like, I was thinking, do I stay and just, you know, stick it out? Or, you know, that it took a while. So I decided maybe, like, I ain't gonna lie to you, decided like May, beginning of May. I told Gannon, like, I'm leaving. I need my release. And the crazy thing was, even then, they wasn't giving me my release. They was holding on to my release until my uncle Lou, wrote them, sent them an email, and was like, look, this is what it is. So forth. Wrote them a letter and was like, if you don't give my nephew's release, I'm contacting the NCAA.
Oh, wow.
That
Uncle Lou
same
was,
day.
wow, Uncle Lou was not playing. He wasn't with
Oh,
nothing.
he was gangster. My uncle, him and my father coached and started a program in Harlem called the Urban Athletes, Black Urban Athletes. So, you know, he knew some of that. He coached Charlie Yovelton. He coached Dean Meminger. You know, he had some guys who went to college and they played college themselves. So at the end of the day, once he did that, same day I got a phone call. Yeah, you could come pick up your release from the AD's office. I said,
Wow.
okay. You know, so Tom Thompson, who I think he was the AD, I think when you was there before Irma was. Irma was a girls coach.
Yeah.
But I went and got it from him, and they said, I want to put something in your release that you can't transfer to any team in the conference. And I had no plans of transferring to no team in the conference. But I found out 3 teams wanted me to transfer there. And since I was the last one, all of them was calling and talking to coach. And I was like, nah, you could do it. I don't have no problem. So I ended up, you know, getting my release. And then the hard work happened. I had to start sending my tapes out, running around making tapes, and sending them out to different schools, contacting coaches. I had a couple people who were reaching out for me, like Coach Spinelli, my man DeBron Murray, who used to coach at BMCC. When he realized I wasn't gonna go to BMCC, he said, "I'll help you, try to get you somewhere." So he helped, my man DeBron. Even Gary Sims, God rest his soul. Gary helped, and he reached out, and you know, it was a long process, you know, but I decided to go to South Florida after it was all said and done. You know.
That's crazy. Your uncle really threatened the
Yeah.
athletic department.
Yeah. He told me, he said, I'll call the NCAA because he told you already he wanted to leave, and it's been 2 weeks, and he hasn't gotten his release yet. And
they didn't want no
so,
problems, basically.
whatever he put in that letter, I know what he told me, but whatever he put in that letter made them call me that same day when they got the letter and say, yo, you can come pick up your release.
So, all right, so let's talk about South Florida. Even though you didn't play there, like, what was it like, the experience?
This is where I realized the world was much bigger than Harlem in New York City. Out in Tampa, and then just the work ethic. I embraced it. I wanted that. Like, that was what I wanted. South Florida was 35,000 people on campus, mixed population. We had a little village where all the athletes stayed. And you know, it was a great experience. Like, I remember like playing with Chuck Atkins, who ended up playing with the Pistons, the Nuggets, and the Magic. Right? Chuck was a hell of a competitor, and I called him Zeke after Isaiah Thomas, like, because he had that demeanor. Like, he was just pesky. He was a fighter. You know, he just worked his butt off. So Chuck showed me, like, yo, you really got to work. You know, we had a guy, Redenko Dobras, who was the leading scorer in South Florida for a while. And he would come back and work out with Chuck. And Chuck was like, yo, Abdul, why don't you just stay after practice and work? So we have a 2-hour practice, and Chuck would be jumping rope and getting extra shots up with Redenko. I was like, oh, this is what it is. And it was just, you know, like you got to see, everybody liked you. Everybody knew who you were. You know, the perks of being on the team, the perks of being out there, the girls, the weather, you know, it was tough. Like, you know, my man, Donzel Rush, God rest his soul too. Like, Donzel got me in the weight rooms. Like, yo, you need to lift weights, man. I don't care if you playing the 3, you got to get in the weight room, man. Like, you sitting out this year, you got to be ready next year. We going to need you. You know, Chuck and Donzel were sophomores. So he's like, yo, we going to need you. So I was getting in the weight room. I was knocking out 150, 200 push-ups a night. You know, go back in the weight room. We lift maybe 3 times a week. Me and Donzel would get an extra lift or 2 during the week just to work on particular things. It showed me to work hard. It showed me to practice hard. You know, and then Coach wasn't like, you know, Coach Pascal, he was like, yo, look, if you go hard, practice is an hour and a half. If you don't go hard, we're going 2.5 hours. So he understood, like, he respected the fact, like, yo, look, if y'all practicing hard, we're going hard. We got to handle our business, you know. But I loved it. It was just, you know, my oldest son was born, and his moms ain't want to come down. Jamel was born. Mom Dukes, you know, his mother was like, I don't want to move to Tampa. They were going to set out with a job, find a crib for her. And, you know, she was like, I don't have any family down there. Yeah. I don't know anybody, what I'm going to do when you're in practice, you're in school, and so on. And, you know, that was the tough part. Like, I was like, but once again, my father died when I was 2. Right. So I already knew what it was to grow up without one. You know, I didn't want to do that.
Yeah, I know, because any man can make a baby, but it takes a real man to raise his children and handle his responsibilities. Right. So you did what you had to do for Jamel.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And, you know, it was tough. It was real tough. Like, because I really liked it down there. I could see myself, like my mother always said, you choose a college where you possibly going to live after you graduate in that town. I could see myself living in Tampa. I could have saw myself, you know, being out there, you know, and trying to, if I didn't make it overseas, going to do, getting a job, starting a career in Tampa.
So then you wound up going back to St. Francis. Like, how tough was it, you know, going back to the place that you really didn't feel comfortable in and you know, wanted to leave? And what did Uncle Lou say about it?
Uncle Lou, he didn't say nothing. My mother made the decision. Mom Dukes.
So she told you, like, you gonna come back up here. You are not staying there.
No, she ain't. You know what the crazy thing is? My mom's, she picked me up from the airport when I came back. And she had already bought the ticket for a return, like a 2-way ticket, so I could go back to South Florida. So we sitting there, and she's like, all right, you got 1 or 3 options, right? You go back to South Florida, right? And we could try and convince, Yvette, Jamel's mother, to move down there by the end of the year, right? You can try to find another school to go to that's closer to New York, or you can go back to St. Francis. I was like, Ma, I ain't going back to St. Francis. She's like, okay, all right. Ganlin calls her and hits her with the, well, we got an increase in stipend, right? And I know Abdul has a baby on the way. So he could use that money to support the baby. And he doesn't even have to live on campus until it's time for him to play, which has been a year. And then, we could work it out where he could find somewhere else so he could keep as much money as possible. Him and the mother can find an apartment or whatever, and we can figure that out. And that kind of hit my mother like, yo, look, you got to be able to take care of your kid. She's not going to be able to do it by herself, and you need money. And she was like, yo, you going back to St. Francis.
It was basically strictly a financial situation that led you to come back.
Right. She's like, you going back. So when I went back, they had Norm Marbury was there, Juju.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, and it was a different culture. Like they didn't bring in a bunch of freshmen. They brought in a bunch of junior college kids this time. Mm-hmm. So he had like 6, 7 junior college kids, and he had 1 or 2 freshmen. So I was sitting there like, oh, okay. And I'm like, yeah, Juju? I'm like, no? Oh, we're going to be rocking. Okay. This is different now, right? But when the season was over and the semester was over, every last one of them junior college kids was gone.
What happened?
Some of them didn't go to school. Some of them just left. Like, be honest with you, that's when I learned that college basketball is a business. Because and your performance in the classroom and on the floor is going to determine you staying on campus. Some of those guys, they were fillers because they needed to fill scholarships. And then he actually got one of the other freshmen, Danny Manning, to come back in September. So it was like, okay, we got Danny coming back. I need some scholarships. So that kind of like, they were out. Norm, I don't know what happened with Norm, because Norm was leading the team in scoring.
Well, he was the second leading scorer. He was the second leading scorer. Ivan Patterson was the leading scorer.
Ivan was a junior from Chicago. Ivan stayed. Ivan and Rob Bailey was sitting out. That year. When I came back in January. I sat out from January to December. Rob was sitting out that whole year, Rob Bailey. So he was sitting there, Ivan Patterson and Norm. They had my man John, a kid. They had a big dude named Darnell. Actually, Slice was an assistant coach there. Barry Rawson.
Shout out to Slice.
Yeah, Slice. Shout out to Slice. Because when I was practicing with him, it got to a point, like I said, South Florida showed me how to practice hard and just go hard. And so I got back, I'm dunking everything, backwards, frontwards, drop step. And Slice was like, yo, look, these guys are trying to do what you're doing and they can't do it. So I know you go hard, but, can you just lighten up a little, because these guys is looking crazy. And I'm like, nah, man, I can't. Because I was already, like I said, it was already ingrained. And I said, damn. And then when I came back to South Florida, I could see how different I was in physique, athleticism, just skill. So I was like, nah, I gotta go hard. But yeah, Ivan, God rest his soul, he passed away too. They actually had a ceremony for him. Coach Breaker had a ceremony for Ivan.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, Ivan, Chicago, Ivan Ill. That's my man, Ivan Ill. But yeah, he was tough. He swore he was Jordan. He was about 6'3", jumped out the gym. Could score. You know, I think Chris Ortiz was on that team too.
Yeah.
Chris Ortiz was on that team. But like I said, Ivan, Chris, and I think one other guy were the only ones that stayed. Everybody else, John, Lamont, Norm, Darnell, a couple other guys, they all left after that year.
You guys, you know what's funny is that team that you're speaking on with Norm Marbury, that was the team that won one game the entire season.
Yep.
That might have been the reason why they dipped out.
Yeah, that could have been it. It was, like I said, Norm was getting 25 easy. Like, when he wanted to, he was getting that 25. You know, but yeah, I came in the middle of the year. When I came back in January, yeah, they were struggling. Yeah, they were definitely struggling.
That was a long season right there.
Yeah, I wouldn't be able to sit through winning one game. I couldn't do it.
You didn't sit on the bench with them, right?
Huh?
You didn't sit on the bench with them during that year that you were sitting out, right?
Yeah, I didn't sit on the bench. I practiced with them a few times. Like I said, when I in the beginning, when I decided to come back, I came back from South Florida in December. I had to get admitted to school before I could do anything. So I had to get readmitted to St. Francis. So that wasn't going to start until January. End of January, and then February classes started. So I practiced with them a few times. But by the time that happened, you know, the season was damn near over. You know, they had like 5-6 games left in February. And, you know, I couldn't travel with them to away games. So I just sat there and just, you know, like, all right. I practice, I work out, I do my own thing, you know, just to stay in shape. And we saw what it was.
Now talk about your junior season. You averaged 12.3 points, 8 rebounds. That was your best collegiate season.
Yeah. It was, we had, like I said, the previous year, they had won one game. So I had to practice in the beginning of the year. I couldn't play until December. So I missed like non-league games. And so I was kind of like picking it up. So my next year, my junior year, I kind of was already into the system. And, you know, I was in shape and I was playing. But I realized, you know, like, we want to try and win. You know, so I think we started out what, on a 6-game winning streak or something like that. Started on a 6-game winning streak, something like that. And then that year, my man Solomon Abel got hurt towards ACL. So when that happened, it was kind of like, we got to figure this out. And, you know, I took more of a role on offense. You know, I played a little harder. I felt like I had to take more control. And, you know, that was the best year I had. But I also was in my mind, to me, that was my senior year. Like, barely people don't know. I told Gannon in the beginning of the year that this was going to be my last year playing, that I needed to be able to support Jamel. So I needed to get a job, and I needed more money to be able to support him. He was getting older. He was about 4 years old then. So we played against
95, right?
Yeah, 96, 95, 96 year. Yeah, 95, 96. So
that was the year you averaged 7 points?
Was that the first year? It's been so long, Dave.
No, yeah, that 95, 96, that was the year you averaged 7 points.
Okay, so year before that, right. So that's when I told him, like, that 95, 96, I told him, this is my last year. I'm not playing next year. And so, you know, I thought me being honest at the beginning of the year in September, telling them like, look, this is my last year. I don't want to leave you out, give you some time to recruit, so forth and so on. Things will be all right, you know. But then I realized, you know, certain things happen that, you know, in terms of minutes and role responsibility. And I guess, you know, he's trying to like, I got to make sure guys are going to be in next year is ready and, you know, they getting their reps and so forth and so on. But I just really, be honest with you, I wanted to be a father. I wanted to move on.
Right.
For me, I already knew in my head if Jamel's mother wasn't going to Florida, she wasn't going overseas. So in my head, I was like, I want to be there for my son. So, you know, my senior year, I already knew I wasn't playing. I was going to work, and I went and took night classes to graduate. You
So
know,
how was it like, you know, not being on the court, you know, transitioning to doing night classes?
it was tough in the beginning. It was real tough. I missed my brothers. I missed, you know, practicing, lifting, you know, joking around, sitting in apartments, talking, you know, having conversations, kicking it. You know, I missed that. I missed that part. I missed the competition part. You know, like I get questions like, I went to a game, you know, Battle of Brooklyn game versus LIU. And, yo, why you not playing? I'm working now. I'm trying to, you know, raise my kid, provide for him. You know, so I got those questions, but I really miss just being around them, you know what I mean, during those road trips, during, you know, practices, sitting in the locker room talking. I miss that, you know, the brotherhood, you know, so that's kind of what I missed. The other stuff I really ain't miss, you know, but I did miss the camaraderie. And, you know, I try to make it as many games as I could on the weekends just to watch them, support them. But for me, I had bigger things I had to worry about, which was, you know, supporting and raising my kid.
So at that time, so that job that you wound up at, that was Thurgood Marshall?
Nah, that was Now Care. That was I was working at New York Life Insurance Company.
Okay.
And so that was at One Liberty Plaza, which is right across the street from the Trade Center. So I worked there. The crazy thing is I worked there for 2 years. 2 years. And one day I went to go visit my high school coach, Sheldon Silver. And, you know, I was talking to him, and he was teaching a class. He wasn't coaching anymore. He was an AP, and he was teaching a health class. And he said, yo, look, I need you to do me a favor. I said, what, coach? Anything. I need you to talk to my class. And he said, I need you to talk to my class about teenage pregnancy and being able to be a father at a young age and having to balance those two things, you know, working, being a father, going to school, so forth, so forth. Speak about the pros and cons. So I spoke to the class. I gave it to him real. I told him, I said, I was scared to death as a 19-year-old kid about to be a father and sitting here like, I don't know what to do. And what am I going to do? Am I going to be a good enough parent? Am I going to be able to support him? Am I going to have to do something else to get money? What is it? And, you know, I just spoke to them real about my experience. And after the class, he said, yo, look, you know what you need to do? I said, what, coach? You need to be a teacher. Wow. Because you got so much experience. And the funny thing was, that's what happened. He told me what to do. I got my paperwork together. I started subbing at graphics on a regular basis. Adrian Walton was a sophomore, junior there at graphics at that time.
Hey, Butter.
Yeah. Shout out to A Butter. So I used to, me and my man Seb Pett used to, who played with me at graphics. He was working there as a gym teacher. We used to play at lunchtime with them. But that got me into, you know, what I'm doing now because I fell in love with impacting kids' lives on this level through education and be able to share my experience.
When you when Yvette told you that she was pregnant, what did you like? How was it telling your mother?
Oh,
She wanted to kill you, didn't she?
probably did. Probably, you know, because the crazy thing, you know, and it was on both sides. My mother never met Yvette, and I never met Yvette's parents.
Ooh,
So
that's a tough one.
yeah, so like when I said, "Ma, I gotta talk to you,"
Uh-oh.
she was like, "Who you got pregnant?"
So she knew what was going down.
She knew,
Yeah,
and she was
that
like,
mother's
"Yo,"
intuition.
yeah. I was like, young lady Yvette, you know, she lived in Brooklyn, so on, broke it down. And my mom's was like, "Look, all right, well, it's my first grandbaby, so you know we got to handle our business, so on." And I took her over to Brooklyn to meet Jamel. Jamel might have been a month and a half.
Oh, so throughout the whole pregnancy, she knew nothing.
She knew nothing. She knew
Wow.
nothing. Like, and I sat there and I'm like, Jamel was born while I was still at South Florida. So,
Yes. Oh yeah, that's right. You were away at school, so she didn't have to.
yeah.
Wow. Like, how
Yeah,
hard
so
was it to just hide it throughout the whole 10 months from your mom?
my mom's and I really ain't talk about women like that, or my girlfriends. We didn't really have that conversation. My uncle knew.
Right.
And he said, "Yo, you got to tell your mother. I'm not telling her." So he knew.
The man code
But
right there.
yeah, he said, "You got to tell her. This is something you got to tell her." It wasn't even about keeping it from her. He said, "No, you have to tell her. This is on you." So when I came back, I went to go see Jamel myself, and then the next day, when I came back, I told my moms, and then I took her out there the next day to see him.
How did she feel when she saw him?
She hugged him. She smiled. She was happy.
Cried tears of joy?
She mostly smiled. It wasn't. It wasn't. She just was happy. You know, like she held him in her arms, and she just looked at him. And she was smiling. And then she met Jamel's grandmother, Yvette's mother, and Yvette's father. You know, everybody was there. My family, her family. My brother Gary went with me. And so like it was just like everybody gets to meet everybody. You know. But you know, if anybody saved my life, it's Jamel Ronald Torrance, because he made me grow up. He made me grow up, maybe stop doing a lot of dumb stuff that I was doing before. Because now I had somebody that I was responsible for.
That's real right there. You know,
Yeah.
a lot of men, you know, probably wouldn't have been able to handle, you know, everything that you went through. So I commend you for that, you know, because
Appreciate
a lot
it,
of people are not able to handle the responsibility of having a child. So a lot of deadbeat fathers running around, but you wasn't one of them. So I commend you on that, man.
I appreciate it, man. Thank you, man. It means a lot in terms of who I am and our family, you know. But like my uncles always told people, don't commend me for something I'm supposed to do, because then you take away the value of it.
That's deep. So you're gone.
Yeah. So no, I'm just saying, like, commending somebody for being a father is, you know, it's something you're supposed to. My uncles always told me, like, you're supposed to take care of your kids.
Right.
You know, like, that's what you're supposed to do. You made them. You helped make them. And so you got to help take care of them. You know, so he said it kind of devalues. He used to hear it when, you know, he ran around with not just his 3 kids, but his countless nieces and nephews. He would pick us up and take us around to see family. And people would be like, "Oh, that's a great thing you're doing." said, I'm supposed to do that. These are my kids. These are my nieces and nephews. I'm supposed to spend time with them, you know. And unfortunately for us, my father died, and my cousins, his sister, their father was nowhere to be found. So he was kind of like our father,
Right.
you know. So at the end of the day, he was like, yeah, this is what I'm supposed to do, you know. And I thank and love him for that, you know, because if not for him, who knows where I would have been.
Mm. So graduation day 1997, like how did you feel finally able to get that diploma?
Bittersweet, man. Bittersweet. I was happy that I was graduating June 2nd, 1997. I walked across the stage. But May 28th, 1997, my grandfather passed away. And so it was like I found out I was graduating. I found out I was graduating May 26th. And I went to see him in the hospital like a couple weeks before that. And I was at Bar 85 at Maria Davis's Mad Wednesdays. You know, the showcase joint that she used to have that she talked about on J album, first album, Mad Wednesdays, with Rudy King, Maria Davis. And I get a beep from my mom's at 2:00 in the morning. And I looked at the pager. My moms don't never really page me unless there's an issue. And I knew it was him. And I called her. She said, where you at? I said, I'm at Bar 85 downtown, Mom. She said, I'll see you when you get home.
That's when you knew basically it was what it was.
Right. I knew my grandfather suffered through 3 strokes.
Oh.
And that was amazing for him to suffer through 3 strokes. You know, Black men at the time, healthcare. So for him to get through 3, I already knew when she called me and I spoke to her on the phone, when she beat me and I spoke to her on the phone, I knew what it was. And I sat at the bar for a little while and just chilled for about an hour. And then I went home. When I got home, my mother was sitting up waiting for me. And I cried like a baby because I already knew while her saying it what it was. You know, so like June 2nd, 1997 was a bittersweet day. You know, my family was there, my grandmother, Uncle Lou, my mother, Jamel, his moms, my cousin Denise, a few other people. But yeah, I had to bury him May 28th. And it was like, I couldn't even, what's crazy is I had to pick up my cap and gown on May 28th, and I couldn't. So I had to have somebody else do it for me. But, you know, I wore his watch to the graduation, so he was there with everybody else, you know. But, you always remember where you were when people who meant a lot to you pass on. That sticks in your mind, but it makes you who you are and adds to who you are.
Wow.
Yeah.
Rest in peace, Grandpapa Torrance.
Yeah. Nettles.
Oh.
Nettles.
Grandpapa
Nettles.
Yeah. So let's talk about, when you decided to coach.
Always coach. I started coaching at 17. Started a program on my block, 1199 Red Devils. I was 17 years old. A lot of those kids was like 13, 14. You know, I raised the money. You know, Olaf, I don't know if you remember Olaf Sporting Goods.
Yeah, I know that they were famous for shorts.
Yeah, famous for shorts. Olaf was on Madison Avenue next to Taft Projects. So I raised some money and I bought the uniforms. Parents helped supply the money, and I had like 10 kids from the hood, from 1199, from East River, from Wilson, and we practiced in the rec, and we had a few games. And I remember like we went to a bunch of games away, and we had a game at home. at the rec, and the whole block was there. Everybody was there.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember that because I said, everybody wanted to coach. Everybody had an idea of what to say, what to do. Oh, you should do this, you do that. But nobody was there when we were practicing, when I was trying to raise money.
Mm-hmm.
But I fell in love with it because there's kids that I coach to this day that I'm still close with. There's people that I met through coaching that I'm still close with. You know, like Kev Williams, he started a program called Southern Heights. We played him, and we still close to this day. And every time we see each other, we talk. And right now, he's the assistant coach at South Bronx Prep with Radar. But you know, Kev was instrumental, always gave me advice. You know, and then I realized that the culture fraternity, you know, was tight, was small. You know, and you needed to make friends. You needed to build off of that. You know, like when I first got the job at Thurgood, I had coached the middle school team, and for a little while, and like maybe 2004, I got the job, and Mo Hicks came up to me and was like, "Yo, look, anything you need, just give me a call. You need to talk about stuff. You need to come watch a practice. Just give me a call. You know, if you need some advice about something, if y'all want to scrimmage, I'll take care of it. Just give me a call." Mo was big on that, you know, and you know, I played against Mo when Mo was coaching at Brandeis, so he remembered me. But it was like he got to say like, "Yo, look, he didn't have to." You know what I'm saying? He didn't have to reach out. He could have been like, "Yo, this guy's 10 blocks away from me. He's starting a program." But nah, he reached out and was like, "Yo, look, I'm gonna pull you up like somebody pulled me up." You know, so you know, appreciated that. You know, and just being at Thurgood, this is where I want to finish out. You know, because of what we got here, because of where we came from, where we built from. And it was, you know, a lot of those kids on my first team, middle school team, they're grown up. I still talk to them. You know, like Russell Robinson, Isaiah Walker, John Duncan, Mike Fox, Michael Robinson, Carisha Cornelius, Colleen Bell, you know, Shavonte Tucker. Those guys that was on my first team, I still speak to. You know, those are special guys. James Sally, like those guys, those are special guys.
So, didn't you coach AAU for a team called C.A.S. Warriors?
Yeah, that was C.A.S. Warriors. I was coaching middle school at TMA, and we played a school called IS-90 up in the Heights. Nick Blatchford was the coach there. And so when we played against them, you know, we became, you know, colleagues. And he handed me a card and he was like, I said, "What's this?" He said, "Oh, this is Washington Heights Warriors. This is the program I work with." He said, "It's not really a program. We just do workouts, you know, but I'm just trying to get kids in the Washington Heights neighborhood to, you know, fall in love with basketball." I said, "Yo, you know what? I'm interested in that. I want to coach." You know, so we started the program. We started actually traveling. And, you know, it was in Children's Aid Society because IS-90 was the Children's Aid Society school. So they funded us. But, that turned into New Heights, you know. And it was a bunch of kids from the neighborhood, from all the way up from Washington Heights to Inwood to Dykeman, you know, that would come down and play and be part of the program. And, you know, we did a lot with that program. We had study hall, mandatory study hall. We had SAT prep for the juniors, sophomores and juniors. You know, for some kids who couldn't really go to school in the city, couldn't deal with it, we had a high school assist program for prep schools. We reached out. We also dealt with the social problems and, you know, helped find parents jobs, you know, became references, you know. But a lot of those kids, once again, are now 35 years old. And I see them and they're like, "Torrance, what's up?" And I'm like, and when they say their name, I said, oh, I know who you are. You grown, you're older, but they're productive citizens. You know, I think that program really helped not just boost the basketball life in the Heights because it was really baseball up there, but it also made kids want to go to college, you know, and whether they play basketball or not, they just wanted to go to college, you know, and it gave them an outlet to do so, you know.
I hear that.
Yeah.
And then later on down the line, you coached at New High. I'm sorry, let me rephrase that. The Lightning, the Long Island Lightning.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, before that, when we left New Heights, we were supposed to go to Team Rock. Oh man, Steve Harris, Sean Arnold, Big Heck. We were supposed to go to Team Rock. And we actually spent the summer at Team Rock. You know,
This is you and Coach Wash.
Yeah, me and Wash. We spent the summer at Team Rock, and that's where we were going to stay. Like Wash was coaching a couple of teams. I was coaching. I was going to help with like the high school assist program to help kids get into high schools, whether it was local or away. And then Team Rock, they said they weren't going to have a program anymore.
Wow.
You know, for whatever reason, they weren't going to have Team Rock program. So now it was like, oh, what we going to do? Dana gave me a call. It was like, yo, look, you know, I know you got some kids this age group. It was the same age as his brother Daniel's group. And they had went to fourth grade nationals. They didn't do well. So I was like, well, all right, well, I'll check it out. And, you know, we went over there. We brought maybe 5 or 6 kids for that age group and 5 or 6 kids for the older age group over there. He had 2 teams besides Corey Fisher and Justin Burrell in them. He had that 5th grade crew, and he had a 6th grade crew. And then he had the Corey Fisher team, you know. And that crew we had on that 5th grade team, we had 10 guys go Division I and 1 guy go to the league.
Who was the one guy that went to the NBA?
Kyle Anderson. Yeah.
The national
that team,
championship teams.
1-2. We went. It was crazy. 5th grade, we had just got together, but you had like guys like Kyle, Myles Davis, and Kerwin Okoro, Daniel Dingle, Kamari Murphy on that team, and we went to 5th grade nationals. Now Jamel, Kyle, Manny, and Kerwin, we had went to 5th grade nationals year before too, and we didn't do well. But that year we came in 3rd, and we lost to the national championships, the Houston Jaguars, who had Rasheed Suleiman and L.J. Rose and Michael J. Reese. They won it. So the next year, these kids were hungry as I don't know what. You know, they were so mad. Like, I've never seen kids so upset that they came in 3rd their first time at nationals as a group. They were just upset. And that 6th grade year, we went undefeated. We lost 1 game all year. So we lost, I think we won 93 games throughout the AAU season that 6th grade year. And the only game we lost was at Gaucho Round Ball when they had the Gaucho Champs versus the Stars. And we lost to the Stars, all Stars of the Round Ball for that age group. We lost to them by 1 in overtime. But that year we beat the Jaguars in the semifinals of 12s in Virginia Beach. We beat them, and it was those kids were the happiest kids. The parents, like everybody, felt like they won, because at the end of the day, it was just a family thing. Like, you know, everybody was like, it's like a weight. And that same year, Kamani won 8th grade in Orlando with Javon Pinkston in them. So for New York, it was like, yo, you got the national champions in 6th grade and 8th grade. Oh, New York is rolling. you know, and you know, you play against guys who now you be like, wow, these guys are good. Like you played against DC Assault that had Nate Britt and Chris Jenkins. They were tough. You know, you play against Philly Finals who had Emil Jefferson. He was tough, right? You play against who Connecticut team that had Chris Dunn and Andre Drummond. You know, they were tough. So you had teams that you was like, oh, these guys are good. And you got better. But that team was just special. Like, I remember at the semifinal game of the 12s, I called Russell Robinson. And I said, Russ, I need a favor. I said, what, T? I said, I need you to talk to Jamel's team. They're about to play the Houston Jaguars. I need you to talk to them about what it means to represent New York in nationals, because y'all the last team to really do it like that and win like teams won. Like you were winning multiple national championships. And Russ called, my brother called Wash on his phone, and they all huddled around the phone and was glued to what Russ was saying before the semifinal game in sixth grade. It was all glued. Like, and I'm sitting there like, this is what it's about. Paying it forward, passing it down. That team just wanted it, you know. So it was special because they actually had a chance to win 3 years in a row. 13th, they came in fifth. We came in fifth with and we lost to Cincinnati Purple Knights in the Elite Eight. But they had flew in Shane Bohannon the day before the game, and didn't find out until later on that Shane Bohannon was in 8th grade, and he didn't have a late birthday. So they flew him in and another dude. I forgot who the other kid was. But, you know, Shane Bohannon turned into a McDonald's All-American and went to Louisville, you know. So we ended up winning in 14s, you know what I'm saying, and beat a team in the championship. Javon Felix, Ricardo Gathers, they had a crew, and they were supposed to win the whole thing. New Orleans Panthers supposed to win the whole thing. But Kyle being who he was, Manny being who he was, Daniel, Kerwin, Kamari grew into his own. Those guys, LeBrent Walker, like Myles Davis. And then, you know, you had Sevy, Jamel, Ryan, and Myron, who I'm going to play the hardest defense you can and be the biggest pest I can be, right? Those guys just wanted to play together. They wanted to play for each other. And that was their last hurrah. Everybody knew Kyle and Myles was leaving. LeBrent was going somewhere else. So this was the last time they was going to be able to play with each other. And we ended up winning 14s. You know, you had Shaq watching our game. Shaq was amazed. He was down there. He was like, wow, these kids is 14 years old. And if you saw Ricardo Gathers in 8th grade, he was 6'7" and built like a tight end. Like he was growling. So I remember, like, my man Terrell Dozier, they was giving me updates. I didn't go to that trip. I didn't go to 14s. They were giving me updates. And he told me, he said, yo, Ricardo Gathers tried to dunk it on Manny now. Manny's 6 foot. Ricardo Gathers is 6'6". When Manny went up, Ricardo Gathers went up, they met chest to chest. Terrell was like, Ricardo Gathers fell down and hit the floor, didn't make the dunk. And Manny just stood over him. And at that point, Wash was like, yo, we got him. It's over. We had him. Like, it was over. You know, and it was just special for them kids. And to this day, they still speak to each other. We still on chats. We still chop it up. You know, love them like they're my nephews. You know, those kids, they was either at me at Wash house on the weekends or at my mother's house spending the night. It'd be like, my mother would have like 10, 11 guys at her house cooking pancakes, waffles and stuff Saturday night to Sunday morning. You know, when we had practice or whatever. That was the kind of family we were. somebody go out to Suzanne house, like 7 or 8 go out to Suzanne house. 7 or 8 go out to Myles house. They go to Wash house. They was always with each other, but at somebody else's house. So, I never changed that experience. I never changed that. And then high school, we did all right, for what we did without Kyle Myles, and do what we did at Big Time and at Desert Duel. It was just kids bought in. Melvin joined the team. I don't know if you know Melvin Johnson.
Yeah, I remember Melvin.
With the VCU.
Yeah.
Melvin wanted to play with us since the 8th grade, but we just ain't have any space. So junior year, Melvin played with us. And it was like he just fit right in. Him, Nunu, Jamel. We had Rich Williams, Wayne Martin, Chris Hooper. Like we was playing against guys. Like we played against Emil Jefferson. We beat them out in Arizona. Then we played team loaded with Tyler Lewis and the kid who went to Kansas, Frank Mason. Right? And they had beat us earlier in the springtime by like 20 at a hoop event. We beat them by 37 out in Desert Duel. Like we was like, oh, we just felt some type of way. Then we ran into I forgot who we beat after that. And then this Final Four game we ran into Mac Irvin. That had Jaleel Okafor, Steve Taylor, and Jabari Parker. And we lost by 3 to them. But we was up the whole game. We just ran out of gas. But it was just a great summer for those kids. We went to DC, played against a Kill Carr. He faked the injury. He didn't want to play against us. That was hilarious because he was killing the game before and then killing. And then he was going to play us and he faked the injury. He's like, oh, he can't play. He's hurt. I said, oh. That's when I knew these kids, like, they had earned their rep.
Wow. So yeah, that was a great story about all those guys, man. Because I remember those days. Like you guys were the real deal back in the day.
I remember you were supposed to play with them when you was at I think you was a freshman at UPA. Yeah. And Walsh was working there, and he was like, "Yo, I got this big kid, he's a freshman. He's supposed to. We're gonna bring him down. We're gonna take a look at him, so forth and so on." I don't know whatever happened to that. Why didn't you ever come down?
To be honest with you, I just didn't have the work ethic back then. I really did not. I really didn't have the work ethic. If I had the work ethic to be a better player, things would have been different. But it's just, and also, I like to play the game, but it's just, I guess I didn't have the love for playing it,
Right.
And then later on in college, I tried out, and then after a while, after that, I knew the jig was up,
Right. Yeah.
But everything happens for a reason. I wasn't blessed to play, high school ball because academically, I did really bad at Eagle.
Right.
But whatever, like things happen in life, and I'm fortunate to be doing this now and working with my students at BDA.
Right, Brooklyn Democracy, right? Yeah. That's dope, Dave. I ain't gonna lie to you. I'm proud of you. I'm happy, with where you came from, to be a college graduate, to be, impacting kids' lives. We need more guys like you, We need guys to be able to pay it forward, at all times and be able to understand that you can't go pro in sports, but you can go pro in something else.
Absolutely.
And that's, like I said, I remember when Walsh was like, yo, we got this big kid, a freshman, man, in my class. So it's over. We even tried to get you a Thurgood. And then you ended up going to Eagle.
Yeah.
What was that, after sophomore year?
No, after my freshman year, because at that time we found out, I remember this day vividly. Like they told us that they were going to phase out the school because they had the
Right.
27.3 graduation rate. So
Right.
at that point, I was like, I'm out of here. And originally,
Right.
I did want to go to Rice at one time.
Right.
I really wanted to go there, but then I was enrolled at Eagle. My mom was like, "Are you gonna forget about it?" Like it wasn't a suggestion, but I guess at that time I thought she was trying to suggest it. But in
Mm.
reality, it's like we didn't have, we didn't have the money for, for Catholic school.
Right.
Now like I think if we had known more about SSP when I was in 8th grade, who
Right.
knows? I probably would have went to a Catholic school. So I mean
Right.
now that's why we're trying to stay on top of that with my little brother. He just got accepted into Hayes.
Oh, congrats.
Yeah, man. So
Congrats.
we trying to do everything right this time around because these schools now, these public schools nowadays, there are some good public schools, but at the end of the day, after working at BDA for these last few months, I see how kids can end up when they're not properly nurtured in the school.
Right. Right. It's a partnership, man. Like, one thing I love about Thurgood is the fact that we have so many services that help outreach for parents and we have support. But
Mm,
and it's a small school. But it's always going to be a partnership between the school and the parent because, we see a kid 6-7 hours maybe of the day for a normal student, maybe even more. It's definitely more when you play sports, but they still have to go home. Or they still have to be home on the weekend. So it's always going to be a partnership where, you got to be able to reach out. Parents got to have a relationship who's working with their kids and be able to feel comfortable to call you if there's an issue. Wash and I, Thurgood, with the coaching staff, like we have personal relationships with the parents. So they know
right.
they could call. Even when their kids graduate, I'm a big proponent of that. Like, you gotta to have an impact, it can't just be when the ball stops bouncing or the kid
Exactly.
graduates. Every kid is not going to be a scholarship kid. Every kid is not going to be a NBA kid. But they can go pro in something else. And
Absolutely.
everybody needs the help. If I ain't get the help from the guys I got the help from, then I wouldn't be where I'm at. So why
True.
am I any different to be able to help other kids get to where they want to go?
Absolutely. And the sad part about it is, as far as like a lot of kids that aspire to be college athletes,
Mm-hmm.
it's sad because when those college athletes, after a while, once they're done, whether they graduate or they don't graduate, you have those coaches that could care less about them. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like,
Right.
they just toss them to the wayside. And not just the players too, even the managers. You know what I'm saying? It's like you have coaches that either it's one or two things. They either don't have resources or they know a lot of people but refuse to help the students. They
Right.
refuse to help them for whatever
Right.
reason. But
Yeah, college
let's
is a business, man.
yeah,
And that's the tough part. Kids don't understand that it's a business, and like that's why I never wanted to get into that because I didn't want to rely on a kid, um, how a kid performs or whatever for my livelihood. But I want to be able to impact kids' lives. I don't want to, if I'm not winning, I can't impact the kid's life because they're gonna fire
right.
me, or because it's not about that for me. Every kid is not gonna be a Division I athlete. Some kids might play Division III because they want to play. Some kids might say, I don't want to play at all. So you got to be able to reach kids any way possible, and high school, I think, is the best place, high school and below, the best places to impact kids,
Mm-hmm.
and be able to lead them on the right way. It's a catch you when you get to college. Kids are set in their ways. You're dealing with a bunch of other stuff. And if a kid doesn't understand, if you don't produce, you're not playing. Or matter of fact, you don't produce, you're not gonna be here next year. Then you kind of throw the kid away. But the coaches don't have that they don't have that leniency to be able to say, a kid is averaging 1.2 points a game, and I could keep 5 of them around
Right.
and keep my job. you know, that they don't have that leniency. So just thinking about how, you know, to try to figure out impact as many kids, I feel like it's here. You know, college is college. And I've seen many people get, I ain't messing with them no more. And you can't even go back to them anymore. Right. That's why I feel like, I ain't gonna lie, I feel like there's certain college coaches that I deal with kids. And I know when I send a kid to a college coach or a coach comes in the gym and recruits a kid, I know no matter what happens, that kid gonna be all right. But I can't send every kid to that same college because I also know that the college coach, I need to win. I need to keep my job if I'm able to keep impacting kids' lives and doing this, doing that.
Right.
So, you got to have relationships with those guys. And you got to know they're going to take care of your kid no matter what. Exactly. You know what I mean? So that's what's important. I was talking to some friends of mine and saying, like, we need to start supporting. New York needs to start supporting New York. And
I agree.
All the way up from AAU programs to New York City high schools, instead of sending your kids out of state, keeping them in the city. New York City high schools and AAU programs, supporting the New York City college coaches, and building that relationship. That's important, man. That's big in terms of, creating a system where these kids are going to be all right, and bringing New York back, like I watched the Basketball County movie, the KD joint.
Yeah.
I was impressed with the pride and the solidarity they showed amongst each other. No matter if they was playing against each other, wherever it is, how they pulled each other out, how they supported each other. I don't agree with them being the mecca of basketball. I think that young lady's bugging, but I was impressed with just that, the pride that they have, from where they're from, and how each one of them keeps battling. I have my son watch it. I had Ahmad watch it. Like, this is what it is. Like, you got to have pride from where you at. And we had that in New York City at one point. It was pride. We had pride in who we were at. Now, we got to get that back.
What do you think changed all of that?
I tell everybody all the time, like, I tell everybody, when Sonny left, when Loich and Lou got into that stuff, that kind of put a gray area over New York, put a cloud over us. But when Sonny left the game, he was our biggest fan. And I think kids start working as hard. And, part of it also is how you grow up. We have kids now whose parents are ultrally involved, right? And that's a great thing. But it also sometimes doesn't allow for a kid to experience things that only life could teach you, to make decisions. Like, like me growing up, my mother never came to my practices, my basketball practices.
Right.
My mother didn't come to all my games. She come to some championship games, but she didn't come to all my games. That's not the case now. You see parents at every game, you see parents at every practice, and that's great for support, but it then takes away from sometimes what the kid really wants. Yeah. Does the kid really want it? How's the kid fend for themselves on their own, right, in a practice situation?
Unfortunately, some of them can't fend for themselves because right, their parents have made it to where that kid has to be dependent, or that kid is facing pressure at home.
Yeah, but also the kid don't have to work as hard because their parents is well off.
That's another thing.
So where's the hunger and the motivation, for a lot of the kids? So that's the tough part with I'm all for it, and parents need to support their kids all day, but there are pros and cons with that.
Right.
You know, there's pros and cons to how you deal with it, and every parent's going to raise their kid the way they see fit. You know, but I think when that Lou and Lloyd's thing happened, that changed the way parents thought and made them become more involved.
Right.
Because, you know, my kid ain't going, kid ain't going here. I don't know my kid. I remember going to shows and kids is 10 years old, 9 years old, and they was walking in practice on their own.
Mm-hmm.
Walk across the bridge when I was in high school.
Hmm.
You can't have no kid walking down like that no more.
Right. Because a lot of stuff going on in these streets.
Right.
Things are dangerous out here.
Right. So, you know, I think that changed New York City in terms of being hungry. You know, these kids got to figure it out, man. Like, do they really want it? Do I got to remind you to go work out? Do I got to remind you to go work on this? Do I got to remind you to go do your homework assignment? You know, just become self-sufficient, become a self-starter, self-motivated, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Once we get that back and kids get that back, New York's going to be fine. But we have talent. It's not, you can't tell me we don't have talent. We ain't got just as much talent as anybody else in the country, if not more. It's whether or not we're going to work together and these kids going to, you know, handle their business.
Unity is key.
Huh?
So, yeah, I said unity is key.
Right.
So, yeah, we haven't talked about those 3 letters on your shirt. So let's talk about Thurgood. How long have you been coaching there?
Coaching in high school since 04, 05 season.
So
that's probably 15 years, maybe.
16 years.
Yeah, and then the middle school. I started the middle school program there at Thurgood. So before I was coach, so altogether, I've probably been at Thurgood 20 years.
So you're the architect of the middle school program, which then basically became the high school team.
Right. A lot of the kids stay and move up. And I was doing it for free with the middle school. Like, they didn't even have no money to pay me. I just love coaching. Mm-hmm. So in the beginning, first 2 years, I was just coaching. And the principal said, you know, look, you can't be doing this for free. And she started, you know, supporting it. And once she saw the kids was really involved in what they was getting out of it, she's like, look, I'm going to find some money to give you some concession money, but also I'm going to help support it and be able to get you some tournaments, get things paid for you, you know? So I think we've become a staple in Harlem and in the city. We have to get past that barrier to try to start getting into the Final Four, really vie for a city championship. Last few years, we've had some good seasons. Last few years, unfortunately, we haven't finished the way we wanted to finish. But we've earned what we had. You know, the kids who come out of that program, whether they played in college ball, they played professionally, or they've played in the, you know, street ball, they have that TMA Panther pride. You know, that's big. You know, it's a tradition. You know, and that's what's important. You know, they come back. Those alumni, those guys from the 06 Borough Championship team, guys from, you know, the 2015 team, you know, people come back and they're like, you know, and they talk to the kids. You'll catch a kid coming in practice, one of the alumni coming to practice, talking to guys after practice, or catching them in the street. Like, yo, I saw your game, yo, you bugging, or you doing this, or yo, great job, you know. So it's a fraternity now, and that's what we wanted. You know, we talk about one heart, one team, one fist, you know, and being one, and understanding that if you slap somebody with 5 fingers, it don't hurt as much as you hitting somebody with a fist. So that's part of it too. After having that camaraderie, having that bond, having that brotherhood. Say, you graduated Thurgood and when? Oh, I graduated here. I graduated there. You know, That's big. And that's what we like, that's the continuity we have, and that's what makes it special.
In your 16 years at Thurgood, how many, what was the graduation rate?
At school, over 90%. And our graduation rate has always been higher than the city and been tops in District 5. I'm more proud of the placement rates. So our placement of our graduation, of our seniors who graduate over 90%, it's around 94, maybe 95% since I've been there. Probably about 97, 98% of those kids are placed somewhere, whether it's college or in a trade situation. They're doing something after Thurgood. They're not just like, you know what, I ain't doing nothing to you. They're placed somewhere. I think our college office does a great job for kids, especially like kids who go to a 2-year school and they're looking for a 4-year situation. They're able to come back and get help with that too. It's great for our seniors because they help them with essay writing, college placement, provide college tours, to different schools. And, like I said, as a family, we have kids whose kids are now going to Thurgood. Kids that I've taught when I first started teaching at TMA, their kids are now coming. So, I think that speaks volumes, about how they felt they were treated at TMA, at Thurgood Marshall, to send their kid to Thurgood Marshall also.
Wow.
And
that school has been around for 25 years?
Yeah, started at where Bread and Roses, Percy Sutton campus is. We started there, 1997. 1996. I'm sorry, 1996. And it was started first as Project Pride, and then turned into Thurgood Marshall Academy in 98. And I started there. I started at Thurgood in February 99. I started at Thurgood. I was teaching a youth entrepreneurship course out of YMCA, and it just happened that a teacher was leaving, Ms. Walsh, white woman. She was leaving in the middle of the year, and the principal needed a teacher, and I happened to have the license to be a history teacher. And so since then, and so we moved into the new building in February of 04. In February of 04, we moved into the new building. So, it's been around almost 25 years. Yeah. First graduating class was 2000. It was the year 2000. That was the first graduating class. That was also, no, I'm sorry, that was the second graduating class. 99 was the first graduating class. 2000, we lost in the city championship game in 2000 to Banneker at Gary Forbes. We lost to them. And then we ended up moving up a couple of years later.
Wow.
Yeah. So
name some of the guys that have come through your program.
Like I said, Russell Robinson. Middle school, he ended up going to Rice after TMA because I wasn't coaching Voss, and we were in B division at the time. It didn't even make sense. David Seegers, he ended up going to Dowling. Stephen Ruppel, graduated 07. He ended up going to Division II, NAIA. Demencio Vaughn, who's going to be a senior at Ole Miss. Now, Amavir Singh, that went to Seton Hall. Jediah Gibbs, who's also a 1,000-point scorer. He ended up going to a junior college out west. I think he finished at a D2 school. down south. I can't remember the school right now. But we've had some guys who could really play, and guys who are still playing. We have a guy who scored over 2,000 points, Dante Taylor, who's on that team. Dante Taylor, he scored over 2,000 points for his career. But it's more about the relationships. You know, I don't think we'll ever get to a point to be like Rice, where we'll have like 5, 6 Division I kids on the team every year. But we'll always be competitive. We'll always be able to fight for a city championship. So we got to keep, like George Valmar is now, he's going to take your post. And, you know, we've had guys who've made All-State the last few years. So I think, you know, we're making a name for ourselves up there, you know. So hopefully next year, if we have a season, hopefully next year if we have a season, we'll be fighting to get into the Garden.
So,
you know?
How does it feel to compete in the Manhattan AA with Manhattan Center, Wadley, and Wheels?
Wheels is always a tough opponent. You know, Wadley's always been a rivalry. Last year they were down. You know, they had a change in coaching staff. So they was really down last year, but, you know, it still was a fight. Manhattan Center has the reputation. You know, it's very competitive. I think us and Wheels made a real good showing across the city to be able to get a 4 and a 2 seed, a 3 seed. I'm sorry, 4 and a 3 seed in the city for the playoffs. And like I said, it's always a battle. We beat them twice during the regular season, and they got us in the borough chip game. But that just tells how strong the league is. We didn't just run through and win and beat them 3 times. Manhattan Center's getting better. Durham is there now. He's helping out with Jackson, so they're always fighting hard. They're always competitive. We ended up beating them 3 times this year. But every time we played them, especially at their place, it was tough. It is a war, you know. So I think Manhattan, we're getting better. This year we had a better record over the Bronx, our crossover games. So we're getting stronger. But I really want them, if they can, to bring in other Manhattan teams to move up. You know. So I know Bertrand wants to move up. I know Richmond wants to move up. And there's one other school, I can't remember. So if we could get those 3 and probably a FDA or somebody else, then now we become our own entity, and we can just play straight Manhattan teams, and now we can play Bronx as non-leagues, like Eagle, Wings, Monroe.
Right.
But Manhattan AA, I think, is on the way up, to be honest with you. I think it's on the way up. You know, Will's is going to be real good next year. We're going to be real good next year. And it all depends if we're going to have a season to see what it is, to see what transfers come in or what have you, who walks in your building.
Yeah. I feel like we'll still have a season. There's a lot of uncertainty right now because of COVID-19, but honestly, I feel like if the college teams will have a season, then the high school will have a season. Yeah, I think it's definitely bound to happen. But yeah, so this is I don't know if you've seen the podcast, but this is one of my questions I like to ask before the end question.
Okay.
So, and this is going to be something that's going to make you think. So, if you could go back to 1991, what would you tell Abdul at 18 years old as he's going through prep school? What advice would you give him?
I probably went further back and said, "Yo, listen to your mother, and go to Manhattan Center." I probably would have said that only for the academic standpoint, not the basketball standpoint. But going to prep school, I probably would have told him, you know, get on it, travel with the Broncos when I had the chance. Travel with the Broncos. I was supposed to travel with them. And on that team, it was supposed to be Booger, Dickie Lloyd, Shaka Ship, Jason Hoover, a couple other guys, right? And I didn't travel with them. Instead, I just played in the city with the Sonics. And they were traveling to Vegas. They was going here. They was going everywhere. They was Riverside and the Chose was going. The Broncos, Doc Naselli was bringing the Broncos.
Why didn't you leave the Sonics?
Loyalty. I love Don Jenkins. To this day, Don would make you run through a wall. He just inspired me. He motivated me. So I didn't want to feel disloyal to Don Jenkins. So I probably, it did limit who saw me, but, it was just loyalty. It was just loyalty to the Sonics.
So this is the same thing that Mike McLeod, who's also from Harlem, he said the same thing to me.
Project.
Yeah, he said that the same thing to me about Milbank. He said that a lot of programs were trying to, like the two programs, Riverside and Gauchos, tried to get him, but he stayed loyal to Milbank.
Right.
Did they ever try to come after you?
Milbank? Nah,
no, not Milbank.
Really.
No, the church and Gauchos.
Yeah, Chose did. Chose tried to come after me. Actually, church too, but the Chose tried to come after me. Wanted me to play 16s with them. I had a friend of mine, Ray Lynch, who went to All Hallows and ended up going to Bowling Green. He was playing with the Gauchos, and this was like, he brought me up there right before my sophomore year. And I was like, he's like, yo, come back after the season. You're probably going to play varsity. I don't know. And, at that time, Gauchos, you had like 500 kids in tryouts.
Right.
Like, really, it was 500 kids. Like, you played like 2 games the most, right? So, and then Riverside, Alex Evans, but they wanted me to play in the B team, and they, I was like, nah, I'm not doing that. So it was like, after I killed them junior and senior year, it was like, yo, you should be playing. So. But I was already, like I said, Don had me playing 19 and under when I was 16 years old. So I'm like, yo, nah, I'm going to stay where I'm at. It's loyalty, He gave me opportunity, So that kind of was the reason why I never left and went to shows. You know what I mean?
So yeah, talk about before we get to the last question, let's talk about Ahmad for a second. Your youngest son, he's a very promising prospect. Talk a little bit about him.
Got a lot of work to do, man. Got a lot of promise. Great kid, can shoot the ball. Great teammate, can shoot with either hand. Loves to pass. Has about 5'10" right now, 13. We'll see. We'll see if he catches my growth spurt or he ends up like his older brother Jamel and taps out. But, I just feel like Ahmad can play with anybody when he wants to play. But that's, like I said, that's up to him if he wants to do that. If he puts his mind to it. But like I said, he's a kid who can play with anybody, and he loves to play, and he loves having fun. And right now, what we've been doing over this break is, skill work, conditioning, strength work. You know, told him, I said, by the time people see you next year, you should be a different kid. You shouldn't be the same kid. You know, so that's what it is. I don't know who he's going to play with this year. He's supposed to play Brooklyn Bridge, but because they've canceled all the tournaments, who knows what's going to happen when 8th grade starts in the wintertime, and, you know, it's something that you gotta look at, you know, for him.
Yeah. So oh yeah, wait. So what grade is he in?
He's going to 8th in September.
Okay. All right,
Yeah, he's going to 8th. So he'll probably be at Thurgood, 9th grade. We'll see if he's good enough to make varsity, or he's going to play JV and get better.
Boy. Oh wow.
Yeah, I'm not. You know, it's crazy. I talked to Johnny Mathis, right?
Mm-hmm.
Johnny Mathis, when he had JC playing at Kennedy, right? Mm-hmm. JC didn't play varsity his freshman year, right? I don't think he played JV either. Johnny Mathis just had JC in practice jumping rope, practice with the varsity, but he wasn't on the varsity team. He said he had to make sure he earned it.
Wow.
He had to earn that, you know? And Amada's going to have to earn it. You're not going to be on varsity because you're my son. You're going to have to earn it. You're going to have to be able to say, yo, I'm going to get some playing time. Not sit there and watch. Not sit there and be like, no. If not, go to JV. Earn your stripes. Do what you got to do. Make your bones.
Same with Jamel.
You know? Yeah. Jamel was different. I knew Jamel could play varsity as a freshman. Jamel wanted, you know, I had Jamel at a junior boarding school for 9th grade year, and then he wanted to go to a boarding school for high school, you know. So, but Jamel had that spunk. I'm not like, Jamel was probably the toughest kid I know without having that rah-rah stuff.
Right.
You know, so he wasn't backing down from anybody, you know. So once he gets that, we'll see what it is. Mm-hmm. You know, once Amar gets that I'm not backing down from nobody, we'll see what it is. But he got to show me if you want to play varsity as a freshman. You don't just play varsity as a freshman. You got to earn that. You got to show me.
So, you know? So final question. What's next in the future for Abdu-Allah Torrence and the Thurgood Marshall Panthers?
Hoping we could get back into the gym in September. But trying to build. We got a nice young core. Guys, you know, we got, you know, a kid who's gonna be a rising sophomore, Anthony Harris, a kid who's gonna be a rising junior, Damani Hanks, and then, you know, we have some senior leadership, some guys like Nelson Sanchez, who at the end of the day surprised the hell out of everybody, including me, with his heart, his guts. So he's gonna be a real leader. And then we got some guys coming up from JV who are pretty good. One kid, Jazon Davis, who's going to add some shooting for us and some ball playing, and playmaking ability. So I think we're going to be all right. You know, like I said, you got a couple kids that's supposed to be coming in, and we'll see who's walking in the building. But I think, you know, we'll be able to build on what we did this past year, because we got about seven kids coming back from last year's team. So it's a nice balance, you know. But I think we got a shot to win Manhattan again. I think we got a shot to go far in the playoffs, and possibly some things happen where, you know, we win a city championship, you know. But it's all gonna be on how hard these kids are working when we talk through text, and, you know, when we get on Zoom next week, because school ends Monday. You know, we're going to figure out what we can do and what we can't do, and what the phase 2 says, if we can meet at the beach or meet at the park, they could get some shots up or whatever, you know.
Well, thank you so much, Abdul. I really appreciate you sharing your wonderful story. You know, that's something that a lot of people, parents and young men need to hear. And I wish you nothing but the best with Thurgood Marshall moving forward.
Thanks a lot. Appreciate it, Dave. All right.
Indeed.
You keep doing it. You keep doing your thing, man. You know what I'm saying? You keep doing your thing. And because, you know, Tom Kachowski needs to, he's retired. So we need somebody to fill his shoes. You know what I'm saying? You know
well,
what I mean?
everybody, this is episode 29. Follow us on Facebook, YouTube, and IGTV. It's a great episode. A lot was learned tonight. Be safe. Be blessed. Peace.
All right. Take care, Dave.